How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Nightcap for March 2nd, 2022. It's Wednesday night, hump day. God damn it. I fucking hate the week. Hate everything about it. Gets me so down. Is it only Wednesday? See, I don't know. I've lived so unconventionally for most of my life that like the idea of having that like Monday through Friday work week or week in general has not been applicable since I was in high school. So I've never really been able to enjoy or get fucking super stoked about it being Wednesday or Friday or whatever. It's been a long time since I've been able to appreciate that. So we got a couple of people here. Brissinger is here. What's up, man? Limousine riding, jet flying. Woo! Hey, what's up, Luma? How's it going? How you doing? So, yeah, I don't even know what we're really gonna do tonight. We're just gonna do a random stream. I'm not gonna be able to be here Friday night, so this is gonna be taking the place of Friday night stream because I got family coming in from out of town. Got to clean up the house. I got to make sure everything's presentable. I'll be very busy this weekend, unfortunately. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hanging out with some family, but I won't be able to hang out with all of you. Prophet says no notification, zero notification. They're out there. They're trying to stop me. They're trying to hide me. Okay. Valiant One says World War III and Mark of the Beast right here, and yet let's party. I know. I don't even know just that I haven't done anything about the Russia Ukraine stuff because honestly, I don't know enough to like really have a truly informed opinion about all of the different dynamics. It seems like there's a lot of squirrely stuff on all sides of what's going on there, you know? So there's some squirrely things going on all over the place. The only thing I saw, there's this guy named Coach Red Pill that is kind of an internet meme. He's an internet character, Coach Red Pill. Somehow he ended up in Kiev. He got kicked out of a hotel for being like too what do you call it? Like too pro Putin or something. Like the management literally came in and like removed him from the hotel. Um Brissinger says, no, 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 don't. Fuck that shite. Yeah, there's plenty of other people that are talking about that. It's a little overdone. Loomis says, enjoyed your THC episode. Well, thank you. Yeah, actually, I'm going to start reviewing some more of that stuff in the future. I even like had a company reach out. They're going to be sending me some stuff to review, so it'll be fine. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to experimenting more with that stuff and seeing how it makes me feel. Trying to find the right stuff for me. Uh, he was scared today. Pro Russian. That's what I guess. That's what I gather. Um, so I think we're just gonna have a chill night tonight. Let's just have some fun. Let's have some fun. We're gonna check back in with Diane, the antinatalist, child-free Diane. We're gonna check in with her. Gonna go through the archives. Somebody interviewed her like a couple years ago. Thought that might be fun to check out. It's been a while since we did a Diane check-in, right? And Diane's kind of one of these recurring characters, these recurring people on Zoobox over the past like year almost, or what, 6-7 months. You know what I'm saying? Like going for probably 6 or 7. When did I find out about antinatalism? Whenever I found out about antinatalism, Diane quickly became a character, and I like to check in with Diane because I actually I find her very entertaining. Beyond the fact that I think she's a little crazy, uh, I find her very entertaining. Um, Loomis says gunning for Joe Rogan's spots. Oh my gosh, if only I could use $100 million. Valiant One says, Coach seemed pressured to make a clip denouncing what he said a few days before. Yeah, I saw that. Like the hostage looking video. I saw that. Some people were pointed out that it looked like his eyes were kind of darting around the room. Brissinger says, so many rando groups thriving out there. Oh, yeah. You should look up witchcraft. We could do that too. Yeah, let's just check in with Diane. We could maybe check out some witchcraft. I've looked in that direction before. Actually, I think I have an old nightcap. I probably have some stuff in the old dossier here. I have like a running dossier that is completely unorganized, but just full of like random stuff that I'll find. And I found stuff with like Satanists. I wanted to do vampires, like people that think they're vampires, stuff like that. So maybe we'll get around to some of that stuff tonight. It should be fun. We'll have a good time. We're just gonna chill. Sean's had a stressful day. I'm ready to just chill. All right, so let's check this stuff out. I'm gonna share the screen. Yeah, the vampire ones, they're pretty funny because they have like a whole hierarchy. They have a whole like system of which they operate, and it's very funny to watch them describe vampiredom. But this is from D'Antinalis. She's gonna jump in. She's gonna be joining Prophet and I doing the Durian Rider diet challenge. She's coming. She's gonna do it with us. We got in touch with her, and I jumped the gun a little bit. I didn't wait. But let's see what she has to say for herself.
Hello, everybody. This is Antinatalist. And I'm making another video from bed because today I just put up with the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I'm doing the Durian Rider protocols for 30 days, and
she looks a little different, sounds a little different, but I think it's probably because she lives in Pennsylvania. She's probably got a cold. It's cold, it's flu season. Maybe she's got a touch of the sniffles.
Sean was going to do them with me, and then Sean started the Durian Rider protocol too early. He started it 4 days too early, and I'm still on vacation and eating junk food, and now he's made a video before me, so it looks like he's doing the protocols before me, and it's his idea, not my idea. And then if Durian Rider sees any of the videos, they'll see his first, and mine are going to be funnier. Mine are going to have, it's just,
it's crazy because this is such a spot-on impression of the antinatalist. Like, the cadence is perfect. The kind of things she bitches about is perfect. Valiant One says, fun fact, vampire originates from a Serbian word, vampir. Yes, I did know that. Brissinger says, nah, the voice is the same. He really nails it. He really
this
nails
is how
the
life
cadence.
is. This is the way life is for everything. People just suffer and take and take and take, and there's nothing that I can do. And I hurt my hip, so I can't get out of bed. Anyway, this is why you shouldn't have children. Why everyone should die. And this is Antinatalist signing off.
It's too good. Too perfect. He nailed it. I've been laughing about that all day. He sent it to our private signal chat, and I've been dying laughing thinking about that all day. So this is an older poem. This is from January 2021. And Diane puts out so many videos so consistently, say nothing for that, she is very consistent. A woman likes to put out content. It's so much, there's so much shit to sift through. We could spend a month looking at nothing but Diane videos. We probably would still have more. Valiant One says, hips don't lie. Well, that's very true. So this is a poem that she wrote, I guess. I kind of randomly found it. I haven't heard it yet. I'm very curious. It said, if I had died yesterday, poem. Jesus, I'm not even drunk. Poem by Diane Bandy, child-free antinatalist, physician-assisted suicide. Oh, she's such a bright one. And I like the Obama era Yes We Can filter that she's using.
Hello, everybody. This is Di Antinatalist, and today I have created a poem, and the title of the poem is
the poem.
If I Had Died Yesterday. Before going into the poem, I'm going to give a little preface here. So here goes. The most cruel prospect of life's dilemmas is getting to a point of no return.
I can't even with this broad. She can't even be bothered to like memorize this or do anything. She's just like nervously looking. You hear the paper crinkling. Like, get out of your bed, Diane. I'm sorry that I started the Durian Rider Challenge before you. I'm sorry. But please get out of fucking bed, dude. Get out of bed. Britsinger says, hell yeah, Sean Jameson for the win. Oh, I love Jameson, especially this kind. It's good. It's Caskmates, the IPA edition. It's very good. It's very smooth. Hubbard says, we need a Diane pinup calendar. I know. I wish I could get her permission. I wouldn't do that without Diane's permission. But I'll ask her though. I'm trying to put feelers out for some of these people. I did find somebody though. I found a guy who's like pretty reasonable, and he's kind of more into the philosophy of antinatalism. So I got to read up a little bit before I talk to him. But I think I might have found an antinatalist to talk to, and he got in contact with me after watching the Mendham videos that I did, the stream that I did. So that should be fun. Brissinger, laugh out loud. Hagbird is on the same frequency. Oh yeah, we love Diane. We like secretly really love Diane. Like Diane, like understand this is all. It's all love. Like it's. I feel like kind of creepy how infatuated I've become with Diane. I'm always like, what's Diane doing? What's she thinking? What's she feeling? What's up, Gaming Dragon?
And having no way to find permanent release and eternal peace and end your certain anguish and torment on your own accord. Life is a degrading and completely insulting venture. There's no dignity in being conceived and placed into this imperfect and unfair world. There should be painless, physician-assisted suicide.
This is a poem, by the way. This is not a statement that she's reading. She's not just like reading a fucking statement. Like, this is a poem. This is a poem. This is a poem. Gaming Dragon asks, why does she have the Obama hope filter on? I know, I asked the same thing. Brissinger says she looks like 1,000 years old. Oh, don't say that about Diane. Don't you dare. Not my sweet, beautiful, child-free Diane. One day we're going to run away together. Start a family. Prof says, I have Diane's channel on notification and try to comment on her videos within seconds of them going up. I want her to know I'm watching. I think I have the notifications too. I like to save Diane though for nights like this, like when I was just like, oh well, I don't really know what else to do. We can go check in with Diane.
Available free of charge to us all on demand. Choosing when to die.
Brissinger says, bullets are painless. Well, that's the thing. They say like, oh, we need a right to die, a painless death. And I don't think she's part of it, but I know I found some other people that like the Right to Die podcast or something like that. It's like an antinatalist podcast that we'll cover at some point in the future. And their whole thing is just like, oh, we got to just get rid of all of the barriers to assisted suicide. We need to remove them all. What do you mean I have to talk to a psychologist? Who knows how I feel better than me?
Is an essential and fundamental human right because our existence was never chosen by us. So our death should be granted on request.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think if Diane had the ability to do that she would do it? I don't buy it. I don't think she would. I think most of these people can talk about like this because it's a completely abstract concept. They're like, well, I can't do it. We can't do it here, So what, what the fuck am I going to do? I just talk about it all the time. Hagbird says she wants a Futurama suicide booth. Yeah, she does. Like those things in Sweden. She like those, they actually have like a version of that in Sweden. I watched like a little video. This is a while ago. I think I watched it with Mark from Generation Y. I think we were talking about the Swedish suicide booths, Hagbert says, fuck no. Yeah, I don't believe that she would do it. I don't think she would have the gumption or the courage to do that. That would require her to like be able to stand behind her convictions. Brissinger says, we need to ask ourselves, if she commits suicides, will we feel guilty? No, I don't think I would feel guilty. I don't think I'd feel guilty. She's a, as much like as I find Diane entertaining and stuff. I think she's too much of a narcissist for anything like this to affect her negatively. You know, I really don't think that she. I don't even know if she has ever seen anything we've ever said about her. I wouldn't be surprised if she just didn't. Some people are like that. Some people are like, I've heard a few times people have made like reactions to my reactions to their videos. I've never watched them. I have no interest at all. Hagbert says Diane ultimately loves her life. Kind of. She likes being like a Karen. She likes this. She's found purpose making these videos, do this kind of shit like this. Valiant one says they sell them at IKEA. Not quite. Um, Prophet says it's like if you received a cry for help through a philosophy 101 class. They just want us to know how much they're hurting. I would agree with that 100%. Bersinger says she's bulletproof. Nothing can hurt her. Game of Dragon says she won't do it. She loves the life she hates too much. Exactly. That's the paradigm. It's the paradox of Diane. That's what makes her so equally annoying and fascinating in equal measure, you know?
I have no love for my progenitors. They are to blame for all of my pain, suffering, worries, frustrations, setbacks, and eventual death. So, here goes with my my poem that I created today.
Oh, that wasn't the poem? Was that just the title? Jesus Christ. Holy shit. I thought we were already in poem mode. My mistake. My mistake, Diane.
Um, if I had died yesterday, I'd never have felt the wind and cold on my vulnerable body today. I'd never witness the political unrest and violence that plagues humanity daily.
Oh my god. They're like children, dude. They're like fucking children. They're like children. It's astounding. It's astounding. Oh, Brissinger says she reminds me of all the people talking about microaggressions, but she takes it to like an extreme. Like those people, at least they'll just be like, "Hey, you know, you shouldn't do that." She's just like, "Man, I'd be better off dead, so I didn't have to experience these microaggressions."
I'd never have felt the bodily aches and pains of today. I'd never have to worry for friends and pets anymore, nor lose anyone to disease and certain death.
Brissinger says she totally reminds me of Ozzy Osbourne. She looks a little bit like him, especially with that filter. Prophet says this is Reed Rothschild level poetry. Yeah, a little bit. As a society, Egbert says, quote unquote, ringing phones, shall I let you linger? Stand by, but here comes my finger.
I'd never hear about any more crimes, child abuse, or animal torture and slaughter. I could have bypassed future cruelty, decline in eyesight, and the greed of humanity.
The greed.
I'd never have to worry about where my next dollar will come from or how to feed, clothe, house, or protect myself. I'd never have to endure nature's catastrophes and its certain casualties. I would have prevented the environmental harm I caused today. I would not have to live in a pro-natalist world that does.
It's like it's not even a poem. It's just a series of statements that she's calling a poem. My God. My God. Oh, wait. Prophet says, I know what I'm doing for my next call out. A dramatic reading of this. Very Patrick Stewart on stage. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Yo, Diana's posting right now. I'm going to link her in the comments. Go for it, I guess. Tell her she's welcome to come on. I'll talk to Diane tonight. Brissinger says, what about lava? Do you think she could withstand a caldera? Hagbard says, you have to hold the skull while you recite it, a la Hamlet. Oh, dude, that would be awesome. Oh, dude, she did. Jeremy says, Aches and Pains, a collection of poems by Dianthe Needless. Perfect. You should get a hold of her, dude. You could be her publicist.
Doesn't validate or appreciate and support my opposing way of life, but that strips me of taxes and resources to pay for the lifestyle choice of the wrongful, selfish majority. I'd never have felt future hunger, thirst, nor any deprivation at all today or tomorrow. I'd never lament.
You would not feel anything. Yes, because you wouldn't exist. Thank you. I feel this is very deep. This is a very deep set of observations about the world. That's what it always comes back to with them. It's just life is just not as fair as they want it to be. Nature has a neutral set of standards and doesn't really care what happens to you in particular.
Over female inequity and feeling oppressed over constant gender unfairness. I'd never see the rain and clouds of tomorrow. I'd have known less sorrow if only I had died yesterday.
Brissinger says, Sean, could you handle a debate with her? Yeah, I could handle a debate with her. I'd more just have a conversation with her. I wouldn't frame it as a debate. I don't think having a debate with people that we're so. I don't agree with many of their presuppositions just about the nature of life and existence. So it's really hard to have a substantive debate because you're just well, we just disagree. So you can just have a conversation and talk through the logic of some of these things. I would definitely be down for something like that. Oh, I like the dramatic stare at the end. That really sold it. That sold it for me. Holy shit. Oh, I remember her here. The friendly antinatalist. I remember when she was I remember watching, I think she was some of the first antinatalist videos we watched. Valiant One says this is a New World Order psyop. She's a paid agent. Well, in some respects, I suppose you could say it is, broadly speaking, a psyop, and Diane is a victim of that psyop. To be honest, that's kind of what is going on. Is this kind of anti-life, anti-woman as well? It's always asking women just to deny their innate natures. Not to say that everything is cookie cutter, everything fits for everybody, right? There's different variations on lifestyles and whatnot, but I honestly feel really bad for women right now, in the world. Gotta say, there are people out there trying to erase the concept of what it means to be a woman. It's a very odd time we live in. Hagbert says, Jesus Christ, Chondro Malaysia makes it a pain to ride, but KY makes it easy to slide. Diane, Aches and Pains, Canto 2. Very nice. Very nice, Egbert. Prophet says, talk through the logic. Diane, do you own a doghouse? Brissinger says, very true, pretty sketchy. Yeah, we live in a weird time, especially with stuff like that. And I think and a lot of people, it's a generation of people this antinatalism thing, even though most people don't have a name for it, they don't understand that's kind of what they're circling. That's been out in the zeitgeist since like the 90s, since the mid 90s, and it's starting to take hold because and social media has really exacerbated it because it encourages you to be a fucking narcissist. It encourages you to be selfish and never grow the fuck up. I was probably a victim of that. I got a real late start. Oh, I did not become an adult till I was like 30 years old. Basically, I say like when I had a child, that's like when I became a grown up. Here we go. This is a tribute to child-free Diane. So somebody named this YouTube channel called Life Sucks. So we're gonna watch two videos from this guy. He did a tribute to child-free Diane, and also he did an interview with her and I think her boyfriend Alex, that young Canadian dude that we see from time to time. Let's see here. All right, here we go. Let's see what this is like. I've watched parts of this. I never watched the whole thing.
Forever Films announced distraught by this comment made by a user called Marija. Apparently, Child-Free Diane, one of the best and most prolific antinatalist channels, has been terminated by Google. I had actually been planning on making a tribute to her for a while because...
And they say when they say terminated by Google, it means that they're all at war with each other. They all fucking hate each other and they flag each other's channels. That's what happens. That's what's basically what happens. Especially if like the antinatalists and the ethalists, they're like at war. They like hate each other. Hate each other. The antinatalists despise ethalists, despise and mend him apparently, because they feel like he launders his ideas and claims that it's like an offshoot of antinatalism. They're like, no, it's not. It's not. Which, in my experience, there isn't very much of a difference. He's just more grumpy and he's a little bit more straightforward. He's more of a prick, and it's more practical material versus like abstract, esoteric, philosophical, like antinatalists like to pretend that they do, you know?
It's the kind of channel that I think deserved a greatest hits compilation. But now it's impossible to mine that archive for content, unfortunately. Thinking about YouTube channels getting permanently deleted reminded me of Brandon Lee's final interview, where he quotes Paul Bowles' novel, The Sheltering Sky.
Because we do not know when we will die, we get to think of life as an inexhaustible well. And yet everything happens only a certain number of times, and a very small number, really. How many more times will you remember a certain afternoon of your childhood, an afternoon that is so deeply a part of your being that you can't even conceive of your life without it? Perhaps 4 or 5 times more, perhaps not even that. How many more times will you watch the full moon rise? Perhaps 20, and yet it all seems limitless.
We settle into patterns and take the status.
So this asshole here, he's taking that Brandon Lee interview and completely removing the context in which he says those things. Because basically what he's really getting at is that life is finite. Your experiences are finite. You don't have an infinite well of experiences. So you should appreciate them. You should hold them dear to you. Because that's an interview that he gave on the set of The Crow, which is kind of about that. Gaming Dragon says, "Boy toy Alex." Oh yeah, he is. Oh yeah, he's a sweetie. He's a sweetie pie. Bristinger says, there should be a Ready Player One brawl with all these shit groups fighting each other to the death. I agree. And then Bristinger says, this poor guy, this poor son of a bitch, Brandon Lee.
Quo for granted. So when things suddenly change, like when somebody dies, it's so unnerving to us. I thought I had an eternity to rewatch Diane's videos and take all of the best little pieces for this video. This has happened to me so
Hey, it's happened to me too, man. Sometimes I queue a thing up for like a nightcap later in the week, only to come and find the video taken down or the channel deleted. I know, brother. I feel your pain.
many times. A favorite channel is suddenly gone, never to return. So within the past month, the antinatalist community has lost Cantinatalist, which I understand was a purposeful self-deletion, and Child-Free Diane's apparently involuntary removal. So the main reason for this video is just to point you to Child-Free Diane's new channel called Antinatalist. Diane travels a lot, so her locations are always interesting, and her commentary is educational and entertaining. She's not afraid to do plenty of guerrilla filmmaking and interact with people in public. I did download some of Diane's videos from her previous channel, but not nearly enough. If those videos never reappear, I definitely will regret never seeing them again. But she already has a lot of content on her new channel, so I mixed in some of those clips here as well. So please enjoy this shortened tribute compilation to Diane Natalist.
Let's do it. Show me the magic.
Hello, this is Child-Free Diane.
I wonder why did she abandon the child-free Diane thing? She became Diane antinatalist. Why did she? I don't know. I don't understand why. Child-free Diane got kind of a ring to it. You know, it's got a little something, a little magic. You're beautiful, it's true. I can't see. I hope the camera just pans to Diane's disgusted face. I just hope I just hope it pans to her with just a disgusted look on her face, being like, harumph. The burner says rebranding. I know it's rebranding, but it's like not as good. Diane antinatalist is kind of like a mouthful. Child-free Diane. Now we're talking. Now we can do something. Now I can recommend her to my friends and family.
All escalators have signage that says do not put strollers on the escalator.
So this is basically what she does. And this is why it's so much fun to watch Diane videos, is because her whole life is just full of the most mundane, petty grievances. And that's why she thinks that humanity should ultimately end at some point in the near future, if she could help it. Prophet says, imagine having the money, time, and freedom to travel and enjoy the world, see places you've never gone, and take in the vast gradient of human experience and being fucking miserable about it. I know. That's, I think, goes back to what Hagbard said. She loves her life. She actually loves her life. She loves to hate her life. That's her purpose, you know? I think the Valiant one also said that as well.
Number one, it's dangerous for the child in the stroller. But number two, strollers can fall down and hurt innocent passengers.
Like me, child-free Diane.
They even have a baby changing station in the men's restroom.
What the fuck are you doing in the men's restroom, lady? Yeah, this is called progress. You know, you ever been a dad at a fucking supermarket or something and your kid poops his pants? You got nowhere to go? It's fucking awful. I had to change my kid in a trunk one time. Lumazuma says she lives in a state that has escalators. Apparently so. Or maybe it's on one of her many travels. Brissinger says, see that little kid? Fuck that kid. Hagbard says her DNA has it written in big block letters that you should procreate, yet you ignored that sign.
Are there any men in here? No men. Put these condoms a little more prominently. They would not need so many ovulation predictors and pregnancy tests. And what a bargain. 6 for $1. These teenagers
She's also a hornball. She's very horny.
are seeking donation to help fight cancer, kids' cancer. The only way you can fight cancer is through not reproducing. Yeah, these kids do, the volunteer work. Volunteer work is all good and everything.
It must be so nice to have a worldview that has just this one basic, simple answer that you can just repeat ad nauseum. Just repeat it over and over and over again. Just don't exist. Just don't have children, and nothing bad will ever happen because they won't exist. This must be fucking nice. Brissinger says she's transgender. I don't think so. I think she's a natural born woman. Hagbard says bullshit. Even when I didn't want kids, I rarely used condoms. Well, because back in your day, Hagbard didn't have all those fancy birth control methods, you know?
But, technically, cancer is going to be a part of humanity. It is not going away. They know I'm filming them.
Like, she sounds like a psycho. Like somebody cut this into a video as a tribute to her while she's cackling like a psycho as she videotapes teenagers outside of a fucking, a Lowe's. You know what I'm saying? Prophet says, yeah, I haven't used a condom since 2003 because I can't find them on the shelf. Nothing to do with sweet, hot, salty velvet of an unprotected pussy. Yeah.
You know, the only way to fight cancer is to prevent birth. Check Google antinatalism. Thanks. What a shame.
What a weirdo. Imagine just standing there, just with your fucking phone out. You're just like, you're on the street. Where's my phone? In my pocket. And you're just like this. And you're just like this. Like, how fucking disgusting. Look how disgusting these people are. And everybody's like, what the fuck? What are you doing? What are you doing? But this is just an example of her bravery, you know, of her activist fervor. She's a special one, special lady.
So much breeding. Life is not a gift.
Hagrid says she's anti-immigration too. Based. Persinger says this witch is yelling at them. This is funny. I saw this part. You got to watch it because look at how awful of an actress she is.
Life is not a gift.
She checks her phone after every line reading. After every line reading, she's going to check her phone.
Life is a gift that keeps on giving. Pain, frustration, decline, worry, and disease. The girl's t-shirt says smile, happy, looks good on you.
Jesus Christ, she's got like serial killer tendencies. She's just out there just filming people on the street, being like, look at this piece of shit. Look at this fucking loser. Game of Dragon says salty vagina. The vagine.
Faking a smile for the sake of other people to enjoy is very dismissive. And it's very natalist. Natalism always wins.
Oh.
Right doesn't always win, though. Well, so this is what the anti-natalists have been waiting for.
Message has be sent. The end of the world is in December 2018 this year. Lord Jesus. Oh, so now she's found God. She's found faith. Brissinger says somebody give her a line. Jesus.
The end of the world. Your mother and your father brought you into a very bad world.
I don't know that.
Yeah, you did.
Thank you, Diane, for harassing people on the street. She's doing what we just can't bring ourselves to do. Oh man, this guy submitted a short film into the Anti-Natalist Film Festival that we have watched one of those films, actually two of them, right? Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, he starts off with a quote from David Icke. Oh, exciting. I'm excited. So this is from a Life Sucks. This is their a tribute to the Why Are You an Antinatalist contest. You are not alone. It's very important for them to understand they're part of a community of people that hate their lives. David Icke says, imagine being acceptable in a world that's insane. If you're not controversial, then it's worth asking. Why not?
I know that may seem strange to start out with a quote from a natalist conspiracy theorist on this channel that's dedicated to rational ethics, facts, and evidence. But a good quote.
And also harassing people on the street. Don't forget that. That's a pretty big part of your channel. Or at least part of the things that you enjoy witnessing on your channel.
It was a good quote, no matter who said it. One of the best antinatalist quotes I've ever heard is one often misattributed to Joseph Stalin. No man, no problem. It actually came from a novel in which Stalin is a character. And I thought that this one really spoke to the subject of this video. And that is the stamina problem, as Old Fan is called in the antinatalist community, and especially to the project she is engaged in to prevent it. The annual Why Are You an
Old Fan She is that large woman that is very heavily involved in ephilism and antinatalism. She's on all those podcasts. The night we watched, we did the in Menham stuff. She was the one that starred, wrote, directed, edited that short film we watched. Brissinger says, "Oh, okay. She's no different than some reporters I've seen." Well, that's true. That is true to a certain respect, right?
An antinatalist contest. I was shocked when I spoke to her during my interview on the Exploring Antinatalism podcast that the overwhelming majority of first antinatalist videos published to YouTube because of the contest are now lost. By lost, I mean that the uploader deleted the videos themselves. Why is a question I can't answer here. I'm sure it's personal for each of those individuals. Fear seems to be a big motivation, as it is to all of us in life. But this video is not about those people. This video is for those of you who have submitted videos and kept them up. First, you took the time to compose your thoughts and articulate them in video form. You uploaded your video to YouTube, and then you kept it up for years for others to watch and consume. There was recently some controversy when a TikTok content creator called That Vegan Teacher said that coming out of the closet, if you will, as a vegan to your community can be as dramatic as coming out as gay.
This lady was legit insane too. Like I remember when this video hit. She's an odd duck. Maybe I should look her up.
She got a lot of pushback for that, even though I have heard such sentiments from people other than her. Many people see it as a rejection of their traditional values and may even take it personally. A recent study found that in mainstream culture, ethical vegans are despised as much as junkies. So imagine antinatalists, some of whom were also vegans. Where would they stand? Below drug addicts, I'm quite sure. Coming out as an atheist can also be very destructive to our relationships with traditional parents and friends. I saw the light go out of my relative's eyes when I told them I got sterilized. I'm not just ending the continuity of my genetics, I'm rejecting their whole way of life.
I guess they're like Durian Rada. He's just hedonists. They're just hedonists. They can't be bothered. They can't have kids around to have to take care of. They want to be genetic dead ends.
Antinatalist activists can even sometimes come under fire by critics in their own community. They say that making videos for YouTube, creating memes for social media sites like Reddit and Facebook, and discussing anti-procreation philosophy in forums, books, and magazines isn't doing enough. Some also compare this very young movement, a movement calling for compassion and understanding for the unborn humans and animals who suffer and die by being born, to other more established organized efforts like animal liberation, anti-war, child-free, and environmentalism. These movements, which are still important, are not as effective as antinatalism, because nothing is as effective as preventing suffering than never creating in the first place. So we've established that in traditional society, antinatalists are perceived to be lower than drug addicts, possibly as low as pedophiles or murderers. So antinatalist critics,
I love the projection here that they all have to be like they're like martyrs for like some great cause just because some people are like, what are you talking about? That's kind of weird. I find your worldview a little strange. They're like, start clutching their fucking pearls. Good God.
of antinatalist YouTube activism are criticizing people
You know, out of all of the stuff we've watched over the past like year or so, I have never once in my head thought like, well, antinatalists, they're a lot like pedophiles.
who are seen as human filth and lower than pond scum by mainstream culture for not doing enough. No wonder so few dare to make antinatalist content for the Why Are You an Antinatalist contest, and also why so few leave it up. Even people in their own movement hate on them. To me, the criticism that antinatalist activism on YouTube isn't activism or isn't important is a criticism without teeth. Let's go back to the vegan movement for a moment. A movement celebrated by antinatalist activism critics for being successful.
Is it though? Is it really that successful? Gaming Dragon says at least drug addicts are not a death cult. Well, not on purpose, no.
What has been one of the most influential pieces of vegan activism in the last 10 years is the very thing that has been criticized for not having any value. It was a YouTube video. What became known as the best speech you will ever hear was uploaded to YouTube in December 2010 and quickly went viral around the world. It has been translated to over 30 languages, and when it was translated into Hebrew, it went viral in the
Hey, what's going on, Death Curse? I came in at a bad time. We will see.
country of Israel. It has now been credited with converting 8% of that country's population into plant eaters. Tofu now has the speech giver Gary Yourofsky's name and a link to a URL of the speech on it in Israeli supermarkets. No amount of street activism or public protesting or candlelight vigils in front of slaughterhouses has accomplished this much this quickly. All types of important activism have the same problem that antinatalist activism has. Namely, people don't want to listen, they don't want to know the truth, and they don't want to change. That doesn't mean that we should stop. A small victory is still a victory, and as long as we do nothing, we will lose, and everyone will lose. If all I do is convince one person not to have kids, then it'll be worth it. I also want to say that critics are some of the most vocal people on the internet. So if you get negative comments or negative responses, it's okay. For every critic,
And most of them, I found out recently, most of them will not talk to you if you have kids already because they feel like, well, that's just the conversation's over. Because they can't conceptualize the concept of like having a kid, why that would mean something to you beyond just like the selfish biological impulse to procreate. They don't understand or fathom all of the things that come along with that. They even reject the notions like feeling loved, you know, which is always just something. It's just like I was watching a video either earlier today or a few days ago. I'm just like, love, that's just bullshit, man. That's just how you perceive what's happening to the chemical reactions in your brain. It's like, yeah, I understand that. Like, there's a lot of observations that these kind of people make that you could be like, okay, sure. I can agree with a lot of these things, but they completely ignore the idea that you are able to kind of put meaning into the world, meaning into your own life, and make other people's lives better. They only see the pain, and they will never, ever, ever admit or suggest or cop to that sometimes that the pain that you go through makes the joyous parts better, and it makes all the pain that you've experienced worth it. They don't see it that way. They refuse to. Death Chris says, weird fight to fight. A little bit.
there are 100 more silently cheering you on. You may never even find out how your words impacted someone else's life.
I know. Imagine if you spent this much effort into making things that would make positive changes in people's lives instead of encouraging them to wallow in their own self-loathing. It's like this kind of stuff's like predatory. It preys on like neurotic people. And honestly, I just think it ends up being like a very bad thing, a negative thing. Imagine how many people have like, I hate to say this, but how many people have like killed themselves or whatever, or didn't find the help that they needed, or didn't reach out to their family because they were lost people. They felt lonely. They went to the internet looking for answers, found this community, were brought in with open arms because they're just so desperate for people to believe in the same things that they believe, made them feel special. And then they came to the logical conclusion of that. It's kind of dark. A little dark.
So I wanted to offer this tribute to all of the antinatalist videographers out there who have created a Why I Am an Antinatalist video for the Forever Will Films annual contest to let you know that you are appreciated. This is perhaps the best way to reach people, and you are doing good in the world.
You're
You
beautiful,
are activists,
it's true.
not defeatist naysayers.
Antinatalists.
There will be some antinatalists left.
Death Chris says, so much effort making sure strangers don't procreate. This is like mental illness on a whole new level. Forever sleep without the death part. Exactly, dude. Like that's exactly what it is. They're so preoccupied with what other people are doing rather than looking at their own lives and how they can mitigate what they feel is suffering. Like, I don't have a problem. People want to be vegans, even if they want to be antinatalists. They're such dicks about it. Such dicks about it. There's such an arrogance and there's such a pedantic kind of narrow worldview that they're locked into, and it becomes ideological. This is like their religion, and they don't deviate. They don't ever think about anything other than what they've already assumed to be true. And I found that a lot, like watching a lot of these videos, that their critical thinking abilities are not super strong. Just like you'll find if you see like people that are deeply religious, like they just cannot move from the tome.
Left out of this tribute, and that is because so many people have uploaded videos in the past and have since deleted them. In a way, it is also trolling the community, but I understand that fear and intimidation can cause havoc with our fragile psyches. But for those of you who have kept your videos up, and especially to those who have put a face to the philosophy, the unborn would certainly thank you if they could. Watching
The unborn would certainly thank you if they could for not feeling the pain that they never felt. Well, how nice. Brissinger says, all right, I defy that there exists one antinatalist that can logically support their view in a debate. No, they can support their view. If you were to look at it philosophically, like, is it a coherent worldview? Yeah, it is. Like, if you want to be just accept all of their premises. If you accept all that stuff and don't really like push back on it, then it feels coherent. There's actually a pretty good podcast I listened to with David Benatar, who's kind of like in modern times the godfather of the antinatalist movement. He wrote a book called Better to Have Never Been, and he did a podcast with Sam Harris, public intellectual, all that good stuff. He's not an antinatalist, and they had a deeply philosophically grounded conversation. And he was able to kind of pick apart David Benatar. Like, David Benatar just doesn't have good answers because it's so much of it's like bound in assumptions and projection about what life is, what life entails, what life means to people. And it wasn't shocking that he was so easily dismantled. It's a long conversation. So that's why we've never done it on Nightcap, because it's like 2 hours long. But I would suggest, if you have any interest in hearing like a good argument against an antinatalist, like the Papa antinatalist, I would go seek that out 100%. Death Curse says the same kind of people usually have to confront their mortality, and most of their belief systems tend to implode. I would agree. Brissinger says too at Death Curse, well, with these, the blow up just increases their adherence to their belief. That's very true. That's very true. Death Curse says, dudes who are hot for Casey Anthony Club. Death Curse says, yeah, they double down or it all shatters. Yeah, they can't deviate. They cannot deviate. They cannot accept other parameters, other variables.
videos is the new reading for all intents and purposes. People really underestimate the power of the visual image. The more videos you make, the more visible we will become. I do not necessarily endorse the videographers in this tribute. Some of them are the vocal critics of this movement I spoke of earlier. Some of them are even speciesist, but they contributed to this important contest, so that's why they are featured. Obviously, you should take old fans' advice and make sure that you know what antinatalism is before you hit record. An antinatalist is someone who understands that procreation under any circumstances is unethical. So if you share this understanding, why don't you turn on your camera?
Deathcur says nihilism is a solid backup plan for most of this shit. Oh, if you said that to an antinatalist, they'd be very upset. They're like, we're not fucking nihilists. What are you talking about? They get very angry. They get very upset when you suggest that like what they're doing is actually ends in like sort of death cult behavior. Because they don't want to accept that's what they're saying. They like to have like this abstract view of it all. They like to be like, oh no, it's just to help the world, the planet, to end suffering. We're so much more considerate of the suffering that happens in the world. We're like basically the most intense empaths you've ever met. And when you start like asking them like, well, further down the line, like, well, what does this shit mean? What does it mean? Like, what is your end game? Well, for the extinction of the human race. You're like, okay. Well, in some senses, that is a little bit of a death cult. Maybe we could play semantics with them. Sure. Is that semantics? A little bit. But at the end of the day, fuck them.
And make a video for this year to make your voice heard.
So this is the Why Are You an Antinatalist contest.
And that's Old Fan. She's an antinatalist. She's been around the block, been involved with this community, I think, for about like at least 5 or 6 years. She's the artsy fartsy one. Deathcrow says, can't accept we might have the wrong angle. Yeah, and I would say that for a lot of people, right? That's just not bound to antinatalists. That's just a lot of people have that. They're just not very open-minded. I came into antinatalism not knowing what it was and being fairly open-minded. And then once you start listening to the arguments, you start listening to the progenitors of this philosophy or theory, it doesn't really hold up to scrutiny very well if you start listening to like the people that really get into it. Because like I said, it's all about abstractions, it's all about assumptions about what life is and what life should mean, and whether pain and suffering, like what all of these kind of relative terms that we all kind of individually decide for ourselves, they like to have very broad blanket views of all that stuff, and then they make a judgment about whether or not it's worth suffering through things to exist. Lumazuma says mental health is ignored in the USA. Hey, 1000%, 1000% agree with you. There's so many things that we could be addressing, even with people like this, to curb stuff like this. And that's why the stuff like this is so kind of pernicious, is that it encourages people to not seek help when they have kind of, suicidal ideation and whatnot. Like it just encourages you not to do that. Encourages you just to kind of wallow. And I've always found that kind of negative. Deathcore says Children of Men, a pro-natalism movie. It is 100% a pro-natalism movie, right? Brissinger says, yeah, none of these groups have legitimate representation. They kind of do. I mean, I guess like this, anti-natalists, they have like David Benatar, and there's this other guy, this guy from Spanish guy. His name is eluding me at the moment, but he's also another one they all point to. Death Chris says we need Natalia films. Autocorrect. Anti-antinatalism films. Brissinger says they're all overweight or underweight and just kind of not all there. Yes, I agree. Yeah, most of them have seems like they have a lot of problems. They have trauma in their past, their childhood. A lot of it seems to circle around having bad parents for some of them. Same blood runs through your veins. Oh my god, I hope we don't get blocked for all these songs. This is in Mendham. This is the guy that took antinatalism and ran with it. Started ephilism. The same strange way of talking. Deathcrew says, finding out I'm drunker than I thought I was. My bad. Hey, no apologies necessary, dude. That's usually me at about 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 12 a.m. rather. I'm usually like, holy shit, I've been drinking a lot. The same thoughts sing through your pillow. Same crooked smile. You're not alone. Look up to the sky and be calm. I think I gotta stop this because it's I don't know if this this song is copyrighted or not. So if the stream goes out for a second, it's because of this song. Deathcurse says, yes, antinatalism content finally. Lumazuma says, does mental health actually work? Are psychologists legit? I think so. But I do think that there's an over-reliance on prescription drugs for sure. People are not taught good coping mechanisms. They're not taught to kind of take personal responsibility. It's all about Band-Aids for larger, more deep-seated problems. I mean, some people obviously need medication. Some people really legit have chemical imbalances where that needs to be mitigated. But at least anecdotally in my life, I can tell you that a lot of people that don't really need to be on stuff have been put on stuff, and that's really fucked them up. I've seen that myself. Death Chris says, a good argument for not having kids is how dumb the world has become. Well, that's definitely part of it. And I because I always kind of, I think the important thing is if you're like a smart, rational person, you might want to have kids so you can put some good people in the world, because people are not going to stop having children. And we don't want to end up in idiocracy any more than we already are. We're already like 70% of the way there. If you ever looked at TikTok, it's like a fucking nightmare. Brissinger says too, at Lumazuma, yeah, I don't know, man. Personally leaning more towards being stoic. Death Chris says, and your kid could grow up to be an anti-natalist and then you have to beat them. Jeremobi says some antinatalists at least have good taste in Saturday morning cartoons. Well, hey, they got something. All right, so is this just a musical montage? I was hoping there would actually be some like actual footage from these movies. It does not appear that is the case. Let's see. We'll check out a little.
The same blood runs through your veins, but
Death Curse says this stream has me worried about the kids I might never have. Yeah, you never know. They could grow up to be fucking insufferable antinatalists. So don't have them. If you never have them, then you never have to worry about things like this. You're good. You're good to go. Oh, there's our princess Diana. She's pouring blood on her head. Oh, I love her so much. Death Chris says he could be an indie alt rock antinatalist, and that would just crush me. Lumazuma says being depressed sucks for me, but I don't want to spread it. That's cruel. Don't want to spread your depression? Well, it's just like, that's about taking personal inventory. You got to figure your shit out, right? So if you're saying that, like, if you feel like you're genetically predisposed to depression, which I have, my father was depressed, my grandfather was depressed, so I can at least go that far back. But having kids and starting a family and all that stuff actually gave me a lot of purpose, a lot of meaning. Actually gave me orientation that I didn't have before. I was kind of just floating around. I was like in a band. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I used to write a lot, and that stuff is all good and well and good. But you only increase your ability to do those things when you actually have more things in your life, because you just become a more interesting person. You have more points of reference. And that's what I have found in my own life. But it's still a struggle. It is. I still struggle with that stuff. That's why I experiment with THC and stuff like that, because I'm trying to look for my own path without having to be medicated. Death Curse says, but they understand the importance of practical effects. Now I'm torn. I know. I saw some of your work, dude. I'm excited to see what you come up with. Lumazuma says, no, I don't make YouTube videos about it. Oh, well, that's fair enough. Death Curse says, the best thing I found to combat my depression was just figuring out what the fuck I wanted to do and started doing those things. Can't agree more. There's nothing worse than feeling lost, than feeling rudderless, and finding something to make your sense of your life. That's different for everybody. Yeah, I guess that's it. That's the answer. It's different for everybody, and nobody's going to be able to give you a salve or a magic pill or whatever. You're going to have to figure it out yourself, and it's hard, and it sucks, but a worthy endeavor. It's like the Killers, but bad. Or worse than the Killers. And not but bad, but worse than the Killers. It's like the Killers if they were even worse. Death Curse says, don't embrace the monotony of society just because of work-a-day job, but always make time for yourself. That's also a very important thing. Make sure you have hobbies. Sure you have something you're passionate about. The baby killers. Luma Zuma says, wait till you get old and can't physically do it. What then? Well, that's kind of a, well, it's circumstantial, right? That's kind of one of the benefits, I suppose, of like having a good family unit, having a good friend circle, having people that can help you, take care of you to a certain in a certain regard, in a certain respect. But and that's tough, man. That's tough. I'm hurtling towards middle age. I'm 35. So I'm starting to feel the realities of those things. Just can't do things just like I used to. But I'm building a foundation. I'm building all of the things in my life right now to help me get through it when I get to that point. And I'm also having all of these things, like getting married and having a kid and having a house and all that stuff. Like it has encouraged me to actually just make better choices because I want to be around longer. It just made me double down on the idea of like wanting to have a good life, frankly. I think we get it. I can't handle that music anymore. Jesus Christ. So we're gonna go watch an interview with child-free Diane, die antinatalist, to see what she has to say, and then we'll hop to something else maybe. Death Chris says, I mean, I'm only 31, but I'm destroyed from shitty decisions. You just work with what you got. You just have to find a starting point that works for you and build from there. Exactly. No, I totally 1000% agree. Luma Zuma says, I'll make YouTube videos. Hey, this is my creative outlet for right now. Like, it's not wherever I thought my life was going to be or what I was going to do or whatever. I didn't expect to be like a streamer or whatever. Like I've said many times, if you watch our movie podcast, I used to want to make movies. I do still want to make movies. That's still on the docket for something I'd like to do and pursue in the future. But like, it's that can give you something. It can give you a little juice. Gives you something to look forward to. Try to do something like that. Try to express yourself, even if it's just like a vlog. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if 100 people watch it, 10 people watch it, 1,000 people watch it. It doesn't matter. You got to do it for yourself and your friends and whoever else is around. Like I do Zoobox primarily because it's an outlet for myself, but also for my friends. I like making my friends laugh. I like hanging out. It's fun. It's fun. Like when people jump in the chat, like Luma and Hagbird and Death Curse and Brissinger and everybody else that's ever come through here. Prophet, everybody. Like it's just fun. Hagbird said, Sean's eating bananas for great power and a prosperous future. Oh boy. Yeah. I'm starting to feel that diet actually. I'll have an update video next Monday. Death Chris says, and thanks, dude, for hoping to have a short film up on YouTube for mid-December. All practical effects on Super 8. I saw that you got some film donated to you. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Death Chris says, if YouTube videos make you feel good, that's all the start you need, Luma Zuma. All you need is a first step in the right direction. It's cliche, but it's true. I agree. I have faith in your YouTube stuff. Well, thank you, Luma. I do appreciate that. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Sometimes it feels a little thankless, right? Like you do the stuff and you work really hard, like spend hours and hours like fucking editing a movie podcast, and then you're like, oh, and 50 people watch it. 30% of those people watch it all the way through, and you're like, shit, what am I doing? But then I kind of redirect. I'm just like, oh, I do this for me. I'm doing this for me. Honestly. Luma Zuma says, Sean, eat a banana. I may need a little energy. I'll eat a banana. Why not? I'm going to eat a banana while we watch this interview. Durian Rada, be very proud. Oh yeah, that's a banana. Gaming Dragon says, I found you from your Holy Terror review, so I'd like to see more comic book reviews from you. Hey, I totally could do that. I've been looking for more stuff to do, just trying to reorientate more content for the channel. I'd love to do some comic book reviews. I totally would. Death Chris, what state are you in, if you don't mind me asking? I live in South Carolina. I am from Massachusetts. I grew up in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, but right now I currently live in South Carolina. She travels the world spreading anti-natalist ethics while also promoting pet adoption and child-free lifestyles. And when he means that, he's just saying, like, holding a phone up in front of people and being like, you shouldn't have kids. This guy loves the build-up. It makes me self-conscious about my own stuff, because I also kind of like it. I like a nice build-up, but this is a little much. Death Curse says, makes sense. You sound like a New England dude. Yeah, I know I do. I know. You can't help it. Lived there for 19 years. Come on. In addition to the anti-natalist and pet adoption activism you display in your videos, you are also known for your travelogues. We're bringing you to Michigan this summer. Oh, we have a question. Death Chris says, what part of Mass you from? I grew up in Connecticut, spent a lot of time in Mass. I lived in kind of rural Massachusetts, right outside of Gardner, Mass, or Leominster, Mass, if you're familiar with those areas. Right on the border. I grew up in a little small town called Royalston, Massachusetts. Borders on New Hampshire, Richmond, New Hampshire, which is very close to Keene, New Hampshire, which is only a few hours away from Vermont. Let's get to it. Give me Diane.
Well,
Thank you.
why I came to Michigan was probably about threefold. I've been here before, and there was like certain segments of the city that I really, really liked, and I wanted to, just reinforce my acquaintance with the city. Today I went to Greektown, and I went to the Heidelberg Project, but I came so I could eventually go to Traverse City and hopefully get on a hot air balloon. Because I met the pilot in Phoenix when he took me up in the balloon there, and he's a pilot of his own company in Traverse City.
Oh, what are you doing? You're out there having life experiences, enjoying your time on this world? Oh, wow. Weird. All the things you would deny these abstract, unborn people?
So I'm coming for that reason. And also I have two friends in Michigan. Matt, you're one of them, and Maria is the other. Maria could not make it tonight, but I like Michigan, and it's less than an hour by plane from my house.
Chris says, Michigan is a state, you sexy geriatric. Deathcurse says, pretty sure my old band played near there once. That's only like an hour from me. Oh, cool. Very cool. How important is it to rescue overpopulated animals, and why is it important for us to stop unlicensed and unrestricted breeding of animals for the pet industry? Now, this is something I actually kind of agree with, right? I kind of agree. I kind of agree with the idea that, like, yeah, see, some of the stuff, like when, like I've delved so hard into like vegans and anti-natalists and ethilists, like they do say things that will make you, that could possibly lead you to a more thoughtful existence. You could really think about more like what you consume and where the things that you consume come from. All those things are well and good, especially when it comes to pets, like pet adoption. Hell yeah, there's a bunch of pets that don't have homes, a bunch of animals. I'm not opposed to that at all. Death Chris says never been in Keene and not hammered. Shit, I was too young. I don't think I've ever been drunk in Keene for as much time as I spent there as a teenager. I was probably I was probably drunk a few times. Probably high, more like it. Death Chris says, hang on, they love animals, but they hate babies? Kind of. Yeah. Like vegans. Yeah.
I still operate the hobby club and the collecting group, doglicense.org. I do not add very much content anymore because I have basically utilized my time and efforts to educate, a global world about the history of antique dog licenses. And basically, when I became a formal antinatalist, I kind of let my website lapse and I didn't contribute any more to it.
So you used to do something very positive and productive, and now you just talk to people about antinatalism and browbeat them.
However, it's up and running, and I'm very, very proud of the website, doglicense.org. And the reason that I believe that breeding of animals, and that includes purebreds and hybrids, dogs or cats, is that there are plenty of unwanted, adoptable dogs, cats, rabbits, ferrets, goldfish, what else? Snakes.
She's not a public speaker, guys. Well, as I stutter. Yes, animal good, human bad, says Gaming Dragon. Death Chris says this lady's ums and ahs like I do when I'm drunk.
Rats, mice. There are plenty of adoptable animals in shelters, and there's always a need for rehoming, like what I have done. And I will also say that there's also a need for rehoming children, whether it's by fostering a child or adoption. So there's so many needs in the world, and unwanted children and unwanted animals are just a huge entity of needs out there. And we don't need to be breeding purebreds because, logically, they're man-made dogs, and they're going to have more genetic problems. Plus, they're competing with shelter animals for homes. Hybrid animals, the breeding of hybrid.
Big Paul, what's up, Big Paul? Death Chris says, feed the babies to the shelter animals. Problem solved. Hey, there you go. That's solution orientated. I can appreciate that. Hagbert says she still doesn't as much as Nico, like he was paid to say it. Oh, Nico Stubler. Oh my god, cannot stand that guy. You could go look up Nico Stubler's Instagram and see what his activism is like. So he eats like $600 plates. Lumazuma sums, great eyebrows. She does have great eyebrows. There's something very alluring about Diane. I think it's just like it sounds. I guess maybe it's like the New England dude in me. I don't know. Deathkirk says rehoming children sounds crazy. It's like a hot 18-year-old chick turned 45 overnight. Yeah, she should have her own movie. 13 going on 30, except 18 going on 45.
It's like a Maltipoo.
But you'll be surprised to know she's actually much older than that. She's like, I think in her late 50s, early 60s. So this was from a few years ago. She's probably in her late 50s. I mean, she's playing the age game pretty well. She looks better than most women her age.
Labradoodle, just insane. I mean, that's basically a mixed breed dog. And, people like those breeds because they don't shed. Well, they may not shed, but those dogs have hair that grows every 4 to 6 weeks. So their hair has to be cut or it gets matted. So that's a heavy expense for the pet keeper. And actually, hybrids, like Labradoodles, the hair grows between the paw pads.
Death Girls comes in with, I think, the correct observation. She's Janine Garofalo hot. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
and you have to trim or shave that because it can get matted, or it actually can bring mud and water into your house. So there's just complications with every breed of dog. So in the end, you just might as well go to a shelter or a rescue, or when you go to a
Prophet says, you can tell by the wide eyes and the come hither grin that Diane was an absolute cum sock back in the day. She was probably a blast to go out drinking with before time and loss took its toll. Would. Yeah, Diane actually has the energy of a lot of the girls I used to hang out with because they were fun. They were fun. There was no strings attached. They didn't give a shit. They're just out partying. We were all just out partying, having fun. Hegbert says, God damn it. She's she's anti-race mixing too.
another county, just check out their animal shelters. Or when you go to Mexico, you can bring back a dog. You can bring back a dog very easily. Same with Aruba and same with the Bahamas. And I have done so. So anytime you purchase a dog, whether from a pet store or from a breeder, you are taking a home away from a currently available dog or cat. And you might be you could be the savior for its existence. So the fact
You could be. You could be. You could be the savior. Death Curse says this is a Jewish punk chick, all grown up. Oh yeah, I knew many girls like Diane. Many girls like Diane.
that you chose to buy a pet means that a shelter pet may die because of your decision. So it's very, very important to always adopt or rescue.
Luma Zuma says, Sean, ever see Stanhope? You know, I've never seen him, but I've seen his specials. I enjoyed Doug Stanhope a great deal. Yeah. Still rocking a choker. I'm dating a Diane. Well, I married a Diane, so there you go. Not quite, not with the whole antinatalist thing, but in terms of the spirit, yes, I married one. I married a philosophy art major, punk rock chick. What is that crinkling sound?
This crinkling sound, I guess I was just like nervously, like, palpating it. This is a fortune cookie, and I had the custom fortunes printed, and this is many years ago with my previous YouTube channel, Child Free Diane. But I had quotes, and for example, I had 3 different antinatalist quotes in the fortune cookies, and some of you out there have received like a goodie bag in the mail of some of my fortune cookies. And for instance, one of the sayings is procreation is harmful, or procreation is murder, or something of that nature. I don't know what. Let me open one and see.
Death Kirk says, yeah, not an antinatalist. No, not at all. Show her eyebrows, demands Luma Zuma. And the Death Curse follows up. That crinkling sound? That's my box of condoms. My fortune cookie condoms. Fortune cookies with Plan B in the batter. No child ever consented to be placed into harmful existence. Childfreediane.com.
No child ever consented to be placed into harmful existence.
Fuck, imagine. I wish you would go to Chinese food restaurant places and just mix it in like that big. They usually have like a bucket or something, like a container just full of fortune cookies. She just dropped a few in there. Imagine if you were having your Chinese food and you're there with your kids or whatever, and at the end of the meal, like, oh, we're gonna have a fortune cookie. Let's read each other's fortunes. Hagbert says that's $1 billion idea. Death Curse. Jeremy says, I hope she devours that cookie. Death Curse says, you read my mind.
So I'm going to have another set of these made up because these were fun. These were fun to hand out, and everybody liked receiving them as, even on the street. even in Toronto, I visited a friend and we handed out some fortune cookies.
Devour
and,
the firstborn
it's kind
son.
of a delight to share with people.
Embrace
Share a cookie
non-existence.
and the knowledge of the enlightenment.
Your original YouTube channel name was Child Free Diane. Can you talk about the differences between child free and anti-natalist movements? Well, this should be interesting.
You know, this is disappointing because there is a divide between child-free people and anti-natalist people, and I wish there was more like cohesiveness. Basically, anti-natalists are child-free people, or at least most anti-natalists. Not all of them, and some of the more dedicated anti-natalists have children. I have many friends actually that are on my groups and that we text or we message, and they are parents, they are mothers and or grandmothers, and
they absolutely hate their lives. Death Chris says, I'd love it if they were still written in broken English. Oh, that would be the cherry on top. There's actually a lot of anti-natalist videos from people from India, and it's a lot of that. A lot of broken English, unintentional comedy. Not to be like that, but it's true. Death Chris says, no babies have none. Lucky number is 12, 7, 36.
are regretful, and they're saddened. They love their children, but then they are very saddened by the fact that they were groomed from their youth to have children. It just wasn't.
Yeah, but get away with that pesky fucking biological imperative. We just do away with that. This is just something you've been conditioned to think, that you need to have kids. There's no evolutionary process. There's nothing like that. None of that stuff. There's no innate mechanisms built in you to suggest that, oh, maybe you want to like propagate the human race. You want it to keep going subconsciously. You don't understand that, but whatever. Death Chris says, is anti-natalism big in China or just state enforced? Well, it was state enforced for a while. They lifted the ban a couple years ago, but they used to have a one-child policy.
Anything to question, and some of them had religious convictions that persuaded them to procreate. So I really wish the child-free and I really wish more child-free people would adopt antinatalism, because it seems like it's foreign to them and it's something that they actually reject, even though some child-free people seem to be disgusted with children or intolerant of children. That kind of tends to be like a prerequisite for being on a child-free group, for instance. But child-freeism and antinatalism go hand in hand, and those two groups should basically unite, and I guess be more amicable. I've tried delivering the anti-natalist message to child-free groups, and I have actually been not received very well on certain groups. But I have a Facebook child-free group.
Yeah, because there's a difference between like people not wanting to have children for whatever reason, sometimes just even pursue, like, you could say, selfish pursuits or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean selfish, but like some people just don't want to have kids, and that's fine. But they also don't think that the human race should allow itself to go extinct by not procreating. Those are two very, very, very different things. You know what I mean? Death Chris says, all we want to do is make shit and destroy shit, and making a baby is the ultimate making shit. I agree. Lumazuma says, money is ruling the world. If you don't have any, you are doomed. Well, to a certain extent, but that's why it's important to build other things in your life, to have other things. Trust me, I have plenty of financial stress in my life. Plenty of it. Plenty financial stress. But I have all of these other things that make those stresses worthwhile, make the effort putting in to try to maintain them worth the time? So it's not like, I understand like money is a big part of life and being able to afford things is a big part of life, but it's not the end all be all. And at the end of the day, you end up figuring it out however you can. But you have to have some sort of kind of positive thrust, some sort of positive attitude, at least about something. And that's hard for a lot of people. It was hard for me for a long time. So trust me, it's not like I don't understand. I don't have empathy for feeling overwhelmed because it definitely is a reality. But like I have other things in my life that let me like make sense of those things, make that suffering, if you want to put it that way, worthwhile. Big Paul says at Death Curse, Sean called out Xi Jinping to a debate on mandating antinatalism, but he truly is a coward. I tried. I said, Xi Jinping, I call you out for a debate on human rights. Death Curse says, has anyone mentioned the added awesomeness of having a small clone of yourself? No, they reject that. They think that's narcissism. They consider that a form of selfish narcissism, and that the only reason that you would ever want to have a child is because of your ego. So they like to take everything back to baseline. They like to say, like, oh, the subconscious part of you that just wants to exist in perpetuity. That's the way that they look at children, as that the selfish need to just always exist. And they're not wrong. They're not wrong entirely, right? Like having a child, having a family is about building a legacy. It is about, in some weird way, it's about living forever in kind of a broad perspective, right? I just don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's okay. My objective as a parent is to make somebody that's better than me. I like the iterative process. It's like video games, right? It's like video games. It's like technology. It's like we're in an iterative process. We're always trying to refine and make the next thing better and sleeker and more capable. That's the way I look at having kids, having a family, in a very kind of broad way. The Fractal Curd says, hey, Sean, what's in the box? My wife's head. Death Curse says to Big Paul, I'm not surprised China isn't known for their backbone. Lumazuma says, yes, love your family. Well, that's a big key part of it. That's a big key part of everything. It reorientated my life, honestly. But it also made everything that I did better because I had them. They make me a richer, more interesting person, even on just selfishly. Death Curse says, probably, but what is it that the kid is feeling looking at a giant version of themselves? The kid is the robot I'm putting my brain in. That's a very anime perspective. Prophet says, because we have the multiverse, I can infer there is a universe where Diane Prophet is being absolutely henpecked by my 6 children while I ignore them and get drunk to a football game. Because there's a universe. We all have universes where we're all married to Diane.
So anti-natalist, because I call myself the child-free anti-natalist. But the name of my group is Babies Are Not Miracles, which is just the fact. Babies are not miracles. And but I'm hoping that anti-natalism just gains more popularity. And with that, I think the child-free people will, come to the conclusion that we don't need more births in society. That way, there will be no children to resent or to dislike or to be disgusted to be around.
So if you're a person that doesn't care to be around kids, wouldn't it be better if those kids didn't exist so that you were not inconvenienced by their presence? That's what she just said. What a nice lady. Death Curse says, passing the ghost to a new shell if you want to be an anime nerd about it. Fair enough. I was responding to the giant robot aspect, like kind of like it's a little that's like Neon Genesis Evangelion,
It's disgusting. This is America, and I mean, the majority rules. The majority is also collecting taxes from child-free people to educate their children. So I see no fairness. I see no. There's nothing just about censoring anybody, and it's just a matter of the fact that antinatalists are very, very few. Child-free people are few, and the majority of people have children and make all the decisions. So the fact that we are free in this country to speak doesn't seem to apply to antinatalists. So, it's
Everybody is such an oppressed group. Even the anti-natalists. I've been silenced. You were probably silenced by people in your own orbit. False flagging channels and stuff, especially if you got a small channel, you're kind of fucked. They're not going to help you. Death Curse says, I get not wanting to have kids of your own, but to actively try to stop others is wild. Are there radical anti-natalists? Yeah, those are people who are kind of called ephilus. There's like anti-natalism plus. Like back in the day, there used to be like atheism, then atheism plus. There are anti-natalist plus. They call themselves ephilus, and they're much more overt about the idea of ending humanity. They're waiting for their opportunity, as they put it, to push the big red button and just end it all. They hope for like nuclear war, it seems like.
kind of a cruel blow, because when you've come to this stage in your life that you've actually accepted an irrefutable doctrine or philosophy like antinatalism, you've come to this pinnacle of like truth, and then you have so much discord and backlash and resentment and censorship. So yeah, it's an ugly word, and it's discrimination. Censorship is discrimination.
Talk about the cognitive dissonance you have encountered in your activism. I understand that you once contacted a reporter about the way he overvalued the suffering of a child over the suffering of animals. This is another thing. This is why they find a lot of parity with vegans, because they don't look at human beings and animals any differently. They look at them as peer groups. That's not to suggest that like you should be abusive to animals or go out of your way to do that. But I don't think they're the same thing. I don't think you can really fucking view those things in the same way. I just don't. Maybe that's me. Death Curse says some rabbit holes I avoid. Probably a good thing. All these niche clubs are ridiculous, and it never stops. Limazuma says the rapture people. ? Yeah, I would agree. Those people are fucking weird too, man. It doesn't stop. It's not just, it's like really what we're talking about are people that have very narrow ideological lenses on the world. It doesn't matter if it's born out of like religion or if it's born out of something more secular. It doesn't matter. Like the function functionally, it ends up being the same thing. Death Chris says, fuck it. I'm making outer heaven a real thing. Oh, and I'll be one of your glorious soldiers. S-Class.
Yes,
Gaming Dragon asks, have you watched that anti-natalist video I sent to you? I believe I did. I think I watched it right when you sent it to me, or that night you sent it to me. I did. I'll look it up. I'll grab it maybe.
the cognitive dissonance regarding the value of animal life versus human life comes from ego, nothing more than the ego.
There it is.
And the article was written in a negative light to make me look like, this crazy, dog lover. But so the situation was in the city of Pittsburgh, a grandmother did not like this dog. So she set the dog on fire. The dog went inside the house, and the curtains were lit by the fire that, the dog was burning to death. And the grandmother's grandchildren, 2 little kids, actually died in the fire. And the newspaper remarked that there were 2 deaths. I wrote a letter in to the editor and I corrected him and I said there were not 2 deaths. There were 3 deaths. The dog was the first and foremost to die, and he died cruelly by being lit on fire. And as a turn of fate, the woman who set the dog on fire lost her 2 grandchildren as a result. Now,
Yeah, that's not good. All around, that's not good. And for a newspaper to remark that 2 children died over that of a dog, which is also sad and fucked up. Somebody set a dog on fire, ends up setting a building on fire because of that. That's really fucked up. But what's your contention, Diane? Is that wasn't considered like a person?
the editor of the article, you know, um, described me as such that, you know, this strange phone call came in from this woman named Diane and blah, blah, blah. So he was aghast that I put the importance of an animal's life at the same as a child's life on the same plane. And
Yeah, it is fucked up. If 2 children die, that is a greater loss than a dog. Not to say that a dog dying is not sad, but come on now. You know what? Humans are very proud, and that's what gets people into trouble, saying things like that humans are worth more, she said. I reminded her that 2 children died in this fire. Isn't it obvious that the first and foremost and cruelest suffering was felt by the dog? She said. The kids probably died by asphyxiation. The dog died a horrible death. What a what a fucking asshole. This conversation could have continued, I am sure, but she probably had tofu cooking and was in a hurry to get to the nearest bottle of scotch. As cultural and ethical divides go, the quasi-spiritual relationship between suburbanite and differently abled mammals is the most likely to elude a meat-eating Eurocentric male. Holy shit. Deathcrit says, this feels like parody at this point. Oh, you have no idea. This is like the tip of the iceberg. We've been investigating or watching these videos for a while now. This is like nothing. This is nothing. It gets weirder and darker, and like she's like the fun one. She's like the fun, kooky one.
and I still agree to this day, you know, whether it's a dog or a cow or, you know, pretty much any sentient being, we're all in danger of suffering. And so everybody has value because of that. And everybody has feelings. And so I heard a quote once, and the quote, or it was a saying, and it said,
Even if you were to look at things practically and to be like kind of cold and pragmatic about it, like a dog is only going to offer so much to society. Children, you never know who they're going to grow up to be. They could be they could cure cancer, whatever. Like we could be extreme, right? They could also be serial killers, but you don't know. And I think that's why like we have our hierarchy of value. We have the food chain type of paradigm, the way we view humans and animals and which things are of more value to the world. That doesn't, like I said, that doesn't mean I think you should abuse animals or that animals deserve cruelty or anything like that. But like if I were to read a newspaper article to say that 2 children died, I don't know if my first response, my knee jerk reaction would be like, well, you didn't mention the dog. Death Chris says the Rumpelstiltskin of setting dogs on fire.
humans have more value than animals. Who said humans? So it's only humans that think that they are, you know, above the rest. And some religious doctrines like Christianity, Catholicism, they also, you know, place humans at a different hierarchy, but those religions also place males at a different hierarchy, and it's very misogynistic. Every religion that I know of is based on misogyny and discrimination, and also placing, you know, humanity or male humanity above the rest, and so, you know, discrimination. So
It's actually not male humanity. It's just the concept of masculinity. Even when like people talk about like the patriarchy, if you were to look at through it like a religious lens, and I know this because I grew up very traditional Catholic, went to Catholic schools. It's really not about women not being part of that process or part of that like system or hierarchy at all. And sometimes women are more masculine. Sometimes women like take the patriarchal place, I suppose. That's the way that they view it. I don't think that they view it in terms of like the misogynistic way. Like that's like it's very old fashioned the way that she's presenting it. Not to say that people haven't done that in the past, but I don't really know if that's really the current standard for most religious teachings. Uh, those things are up to interpretation, and they have been interpreted to death. Death Chris, that's a great question. How does she feel if it's the other way around and a grandma sets a grandkid on fire and it kills a bunch of dogs? Well, she would wonder why that kid was ever born. If that kid was never born, then those dogs never got set on fire. Therefore, no suffering. What are your favorite antinatalist books, movies, YouTube channels, or websites? Oh, maybe she'll mention Zoobox.
Well, you know, I love quotes more than anybody and anything really. So I really, really dig quotes. And for the famous people that maybe are recognizable in the community, I really like Thomas Ligotti and Jim Crawford. Jim Crawford, he did Confession.
Thomas Ligotti is actually a great horror author. If you've never read him, he's a really great horror author. I have not read his nonfiction stuff. I have it. I have it on my Kindle. I haven't read it yet, but his horror stuff is great. I actually only found out about him like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Really good stuff. Death Curse says, damn it all, a net positive for antinatalists.
Confessions of an Antinatalist, and the reason why I think he has so much power in his conviction is because he had 2 daughters. So he was a parent, and I think parents can make the best antinatalists.
Well, you'll trust me, becoming a parent can make you feel like you want to be an antinatalist because you see other kids and you see the quality of parents out there, and it's super fucking depressing. Super depressing. People don't take parenting very seriously, unfortunately. A lot of people don't. A lot of people are just bad parents. Like, there's really no other way to put it. But I think that the answer to that is to create like a better person than the ones that you see around you, rather than just constantly worrying about what other people are doing, what other people are teaching their kids, and what blah 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 blah. You could just go on forever. That's a never-ending thing. You got to be concerned with your own house and how shit runs for you.
Here's another author and an antinatalist that I really, really am fond of. His name is Francois Tremblay. A really, really easy to read book, just plain and simple. He did have a web, some kind of page, a web page, and he actually sold birthday cards, antinatalist birthday cards, and he did bumper stickers. Very, very cool, very brilliant person. I really like Francois. Let's see, a couple of people you may know if you're on Facebook. There is a guy named Matthew. I won't give his last name, but he's in Africa. Matthew is quite brilliant. There's another fellow. He's from Toronto, and he's going to be interviewed at the end of his video. His name is Alex, and Alex is my very favorite, and he's brilliant, and he's just he's like one of my mentors. And
Alex is her squeeze, actually. I think her and Alex have a relationship.
He's much, much younger than me. And as far as YouTubers, actually, I don't get a chance to, review as many videos as I would like. So I kind of lean on, on the people that I knew originally. And so, I mean, who is original? It's Amendum, it's Amanda, it's Dana. And Matt is phenomenal. Matt is award winning. He gives our cause just great credibility, and he's just a brilliant graphic specialist and, I mean, creator, and he's just
I
extremely
wish I knew who she was talking about. Matt.
talented and brilliant. Matt has a channel called Life Sucks.
Which is the channel we are on right now.
Um,
Okay, so that makes sense.
let's see who else. You know, Anti-Natalist Outreach, and I've enjoyed some of her videos. I don't get a chance to view many videos on an ongoing basis because of just time constraints, and I'm also creating my own content and taking care of my dogs. And I have many old dogs now, and the old dogs are all on medication, so that kind of stretches me thin. So basically, when I was
So you just like operate like a mother. I guess you had to fill that void somehow. Hybrid says she could have shouted out Justin Wang, but no. Justin Wang, that's top tier content.
subscribe to a channel and a video pops up, or on the annual anti-natalist contest, that's when I review everything. And that's actually the only time I kind of really sit down and, you know, review the new anti-natalists, the new content creators. And Matt designed this shirt. So actually, I'm the one that helped design the anti-natalist and the, what is the snake called? Ouroboros, yes. So I kind of designed this to my liking, and I simplified it, and he printed the shirt up for me. And so, do you have any more questions?
Where can people find you online? What's the best place to reach you?
The best place to reach me is Facebook or YouTube. On Facebook, I have two groups. One's called My Shitty Parents, and the other is Babies Are Not Miracles. And of course, my channel is
Babies Are Not Miracles and My Shitty Parents. There you go.
Die Anti-Natalist. And I pretty much, see everybody who does reply, and I try to reply once I see people's commentary below my videos. So if you do, want to contact me,
False. We've tried to contact Diane several times, and she told us our channel was too insignificant, or at least her boyfriend did. Alex did. Said, no, you're not big enough yet. I'll come back, Diane.
A reply is probably the best way to do so.
Thank you very much, Diane.
Thank you for interviewing me. This was splendid.
Lumazuma says, I hope Mike Judge makes a sequel to Idiocracy. Yeah, he could just go outside and film it right now. He could just cut together a bunch of TikTok videos. You want to see the fucking the bottom of hell, seventh circle of hell? Go watch it. Go on TikTok. Oh my god, it gives me like anxiety. Alex Berchuli is a Canadian pro-mortalist, anti-natalist from Toronto, Canada. He is primarily a writer and does not currently have a YouTube channel. No, he just moonlights on Diane's. How are you involved in the anti-natalist movement? Do you consider yourself to be an anti-procreation activist?
So I wouldn't really consider myself a activist. I'm more into just writing out my thoughts and sharing them with like-minded individuals. I just find it very interesting to discuss this philosophy because it is a very interesting philosophy. It's a very interesting take on life, and it's something that isn't really discussed as frequently as it should be. So I'm more of a writer. I just really enjoy discussing antinatalism and delving into topics that haven't been discussed yet, especially on things like cognitive dissonance, and other topics that really appeal to me are the right to die. So I just love writing out my thoughts and then letting other people read them. So I first discovered antinatalism.
Deathcurse says, this guy is just a virgin. Well, not anymore. Not after he hung out with Diane that weekend.
Simply through Google and simply through finding PDF literature on the web.
Big Paul says, let's get him on. He won't. He's the guy who snubbed us in Diane's comments. He snubbed us. He said, no, you're insignificant. Death Chris says he also plays acoustic guitar. Oh, you know he does. You know he does.
Works. I came across several notable PDFs that I remember. A book called Every Cradle is a Grave, which was a great read. Better Never to Have Been, and just other and just certain authors online writing out their thoughts that really influenced me. And once that whole combination of just being exposed to that literature really shaped my views in my adolescence.
What is the importance of right to die in a global environment where everyone will suffer, age, and die eventually? Death Chris says, I forget these are real people. It's easy to, right? Because they feel like characters. They feel like characters. Right or wrong, that is how they feel.
So I think the right to die is a fundamentally important right, and it's one right that's very overlooked because currently it's only accessible to an exclusive group of people, which are typically individuals that are almost on their deathbeds and are in excruciating pain. So I think if anybody values human freedom, they really have to value the right to die. And if you don't value the right to die, it basically means you don't value human freedom one bit. People should be allowed to opt out of life. No matter what, opting out of life should be accessible because being in a human body is very burdensome. You're prone to all sorts of harms. You're prone to cancer. You're prone to car crashes. You're prone.
Yes, bad things can happen. If you are born into this world, something bad may happen to you at some point. The most like coddled, entitled people on the planet. You have to be so fucking entitled to have this worldview. So frustrating. Death Chris says, my apologies if you're watching this, you fucking anti-natalist animals.
To mental illness. And the fact that you're put in this body without any consent whatsoever, you're just forced into it, but you don't have an easy way out, is just, in my opinion, ludicrous and sickening. And society really needs to work towards a world where the right to die is, where euthanasia clinics specifically are accessible and available. Because it's not like euthanasia is like, curing cancer or something costly. It's very simple and it's very doable and it should be accessible, but unfortunately it's not. And even in places where it is, it's very expensive, it's very limited, and so on. I mean, one of the most ironic things I find is that it doesn't take any sort of qualifications to have a child, to force someone into the world, but the amount of qualifications and money that's needed to just opt out of life is massive.
Yeah, it's because it's part of our innate human quality. We have the survival mechanism. We don't want to just die. And when people say that they want to commit suicide or just not exist anymore, we say, oh, well, maybe you should think about that a little bit. What does that mean to you? Why do you feel that way? We do some interrogation. We don't just let people off themselves because, when you're depressed and you have problems, a lot of your decisions are impulsive. You may regret it, or I guess you won't. But there's a possibility that you could be making a rash decision. Death Chris says, I hate these people.
All these people against it, and it's very backwards to me. So I think if you value human freedom, the right to die is one of the most important things that you should prioritize.
Well said. And where can people find you online?
You can just find my Facebook. My name's Alex Berchuli. You can find me on Facebook. That's the only social media I use. And this is a really cool shirt I got from Matt.
Matt's making shirts.
Just find it.
Not that one. You could have edited this out.
So this one it says enjoy child free. So if you go child free, you'll be a lot happier and you'll spare people from a lot of harm. And this is an anti-natalist jacket that Diane made me, and it has a lot of anti-natalist messages on it.
That Diane made him. No real excuse to reproduce. Suicide, decay, depression, cancer. Oh, I'm sure this guy is very popular at the shopping mall. Hagbert says, we also don't let people chop off most body parts because they don't want them. Exactly. We say like, are you okay? Are you sure? What does this mean? Death Chris says, is this in like a shared office space? No, I think this is at the airport.
It's a really cool jacket, and I like it so much.
there she is. Loomis says, what is Henry Kissinger's opinion on this? He's still alive. We could ask him, I suppose. He'd probably be very pro. He'd probably be very pro this. You know what I mean? He'd be very pro. He'd be like, yeah, there are too many of you. We only need so many of you to work so that I can live the life that I want to live. So, yeah, let's get rid of about, I don't know, like 40, 50, 60% of you. That'd be cool. Dear God. Dear God, they're given a platform and they can't even be interesting in that regard. Okay. Let's see here. What did I found something today. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Wednesday Nightcap. Here it is. Where is it? Here we go. So this is a guy that is a parent that is an anti-natalist. And he did a response video to this guy called in Mendham. And then in Mendham did a response to this video. But I thought this video itself was interesting. So we'll check that out. Death Chris says, unintentionally creepy photo at the beach. Yeah, he's definitely looks a little out of place with all the little kids. Yeah. Loomis says, do an edible. Oh, dude, I can't. If I do an edible, it'll be over. Be lights out. Be lights out. I can't stream and do that shit. I can't. I've tried before. I just get really tired.
I am responding to a video from Mendham from his Do Not God channel. Google is evil. Just a bag of arguments. February the 13th, 2022. And I'm only addressing because I'm only 20.
Death Chris says all the dads beat him up right after that photo. Luma says sorry. No apologies necessary, Luma.
22 minutes in. I'm not addressing the whole video. I will watch the whole video. I enjoy Mendham's videos very much. But you asked, why do people? What do you get off on being a parent? And I mean, I think that, I know that you also framed it as that you're kind of being, I don't know. You didn't say you were joking, but you're also speaking in a mocking way. So I don't know how serious you are about that, but you might be quite serious. I mean, I don't think that people should be having kids, but as a parent, I can definitely speak to my motivations. Now, my motivations as a 20-something-year-old is not what I can speak about the reward.
Death Curse says, you cut your forehead and tie the edible to the cut with a bandana, and it lasts longer. Good to know. Good to know. Next time I want to get real freaky.
Towards being a parent. As a 20-something-year-old, I was just driven to make children with this woman that I loved, to see our blended genetics produce offspring, and then then to do the next part of a family, raising and whatnot. But as I sit here,
and you see, and this is something that people would, in the anti-natalist and the ephalist community, they just completely dismiss the value of that, the process of that. They're just like, why bother? Why bother? Because they've never felt it. It's very easy to just only look at things through your experience and then project that onto other people. And that's oftentimes what I see when I watch anti-natalist videos or these ephalist videos, from the normies like Diane all the way up to the big daddies like David Benatar and in Mendham. It's a lot of projection. It's a lot about their own life, their own circumstances, and they don't really look too deeply beyond that. They just doesn't make sense to them, Death Curse says he wanted to get purely scientific with her genetics. Cumin. He was cumin.
Now, my sons are in their mid-20s.
Loomis says the only reason to exist is to reproduce. I don't know. That's pretty harsh. I don't know if I would say that's the only reason to exist. Because I don't think everybody should have kids or everybody wants to have kids. And if you don't, that's fine. If you want to, if that's what you want, hey, more power to you. I will say this as somebody that's been on both sides of that spectrum, both sides of that paradigm, both sides of those thoughts. I have found something very rich and valuable on the other side.
Uh, and
Death Chris says, I'm waiting for him to be like, I got 6 kids. He's got 2 kids, I believe.
raising people is not an easy thing. It requires you to be very, very. I say it requires you to be very honest with yourself, and to come from a place of love. But to have really good quality love requires complete honesty. And then there are a lot of factors that you have no control over, but the stuff that you can control, um, how you treat them, how the advice that you give, the way that you live your life has rewards. They are the two. They are I am not closer to any humans on this planet than my 2 sons, and it's a closeness that I can't have with anybody. And they have a knowledge of me, and I'm only speaking in selfish terms. I'm letting you know what I, as a parent, get out of being a parent. These 2 people know me better than anybody. They know me from only the way that a child's observation of a human can know a person. And being who I am, I've never fit in anywhere. I've always been a mysterious thing to people, to a point where I was insecure about, am I?
He's an eccentric dude. But I do like what he has to say about like the seriousness of being a parent, and that most people, a lot of people that are parents, do not do that. They don't see that for whatever reason. When I had a kid, it was completely premeditated. I take it very, very seriously. I take being a parent more serious than I've taken anything in my entire life. I'm shaping a human being. I'm like shaping a person who's going to have to go on and have their own lives. And it's a big responsibility. It's a pleasure, but it's also a lot of work. And it's also very scary. Being a parent's terrifying. But not in a way that's like unfruitful. You see the immediate results of your work, the fruits of your labor. You can observe it, and it's awesome. It's awesome in that regard. Death Curse says, "I'm an anti-natalist, just not for me." Hey, and that's fair enough. If you don't want to have kids, don't have kids. Lima says it's the biological imperative. It definitely is. There is something hardwired in us to procreate. Hardwired, well, in most people, right? This gaming dragon says part of the Prime Directive. Loomis says, and I have no problem with that. Yeah, I agree with you. Death Chris says the must bust protocol. Gotta coom. Death Chris says, yeah, this is just a level-headed human being. Yeah, this guy is very level-headed. And I think when he says he's like an anti-natalist, it's born out of his observations of other parents and seeing the deficits in a lot of other parents. Because you will see that when you're a parent. You just will. And it becomes way more apparent when you are a parent, where the deficits lie in other people. And that can be something that's difficult to reconcile. Especially because, like, my perspective is like, fuck, my kids have to be around these other kids. I want you to be a better parent so that my kid doesn't get traumatized or doesn't have to deal with the bullshit from your bad parenting, because it is not, because I can't control everything. My son is now at the age where he goes to school. And there's tons of stuff that like a kid will bring home. Kids model behavior. Everything is about observation for them. They're watching, they're modeling. It's tough. It's tough stuff.
Just a weirdo? Am I just, because a lot of things don't make sense. And from my kids, and seeing my ideas be something that actually makes them happy, healthy human beings has given me a tremendous amount of confidence. Like I now understand that I don't need to be insecure about my realizations and my thoughts because I see that, yeah, no, it's the rest of the world, and I have no obligation to 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 uh to feel insecure about a lot of the conclusions I come up with, you know. But I mean, that's just one aspect of it. There is the part where that you will, there I for unless tragedy strikes, I am loved immensely by these 2 men. and this will carry me all the way to my end. I will be surrounded by people who love me to death, and I do everything I can to earn that, because I know that.
So most antinatalists, especially ethalists, will deny the concept of love, this feeling that he's expressing that he has from his children, how fruitful that is, how good that makes him feel. They'll say, well, that doesn't really matter because that's just like a biological process. It's like a chemical reaction, endorphin rush, because you feel appreciated, you feel recognized. But it's also kind of denies this other thing. Like, he created two people that are capable of reciprocating his feelings, his love, and then it becomes like a big self-fulfilling prophecy for him and his kids. And that's like, if you don't have anything else to live for, if there's nothing else in your life, like, honestly, that's not bad. It's not a bad life to only raise good, productive members of society and have them like appreciate and love you in return for it. Seems like there's a lot worse things that could happen to you, I suppose. Loomis says there are parents teaching the world is flat. Yeah, and thankfully those people are a minority. Like, there's not a lot of people doing that. They're definitely out there. They're definitely out there, but thankfully there's not a lot of them, and they don't really have much effect on society writ large. Death Curse says the world is more like a half pipe. I agree.
People will always lionize their parents, and we all know people with shitty parents who talk about them like they're gods. And I've always felt from the beginning like, well, earn that anyway. Like,
Well, because that's the perspective thing. That's just relative. That's how you engage with this, how you feel about it. But that does not mean that you should not try, not put effort forth. And I think what I agree with this guy the most is like, yeah, put the effort in, work hard to try to raise decent people.
they're gonna already have the evolutionary need to look at what you're saying as important and good.
Yeah.
Well, what happens when you really try to make or say things or do things that are really good? Well, that's like super fuel. It's very. I mean, I think people should take parenting so seriously, and 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 I don't think that a lot of people do. And I don't understand people who are just straight up bad parents. It's like the rest of your life on earth will just be terrible, because the most important thing that you could ever do with your life you've neglected, and so the rest of your days are just hell. Because how could they not be? Because all of the reasons why I am an antinatalist, or the reasons are compounded if you're a bad parent. It's like your kid will know pain and death, but if you're just a silly little dickhead who's also exhausting their ability to find joy, just surviving you've really cursed them. I mean, you're almost akin to a murderer. You're almost akin to a murderer.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's a huge responsibility being a parent, and it's not like something to take lightly. And if you traumatize them, because you're God to your kids, when you from the ages of like birth to like 8 years old, you're God to them. They hang on your every word. They love you unconditionally. That's a privilege that you shouldn't misuse, that you shouldn't misunderstand. Appreciate it, respect it. Loomis says, I've seen that. Parents teaching crap. Yeah, lots of parents teach crap. They do. I've seen it myself. I've seen lots of things I disagree with that people teach their kids. But, that's like I said, there is a little bit of relativity there. Like, what I think is crap might not be what they think is crap, and it might not be the way that their world functions, the world they exist. Their kids aren't going to know that it's crap. Do they actually suffer for that? I don't know. The world writ large might suffer for it at some point if you have enough stupid fucking people. Death Chris says, I can't handle that anytime soon. I think you'd be surprised, my friend. We all, human beings, are very versatile. We rise to the occasion. We just deal with things. I think you'd be surprised. I think you'd be surprised at what you're capable of and what you could care about. Not to say that you should have kids. That's not me like, pushing having kids on anybody. Because if you don't want to have kids, please don't have fucking kids, And but I do think like most people underestimate their ability to rise to the occasion, honestly. Luma says, will it come down to hand? I'm not sure what you mean. Hagbert says, if you're not teaching your kids that birds are fake, you're just wasting your time. Well, they got to know. We got to have the next generation understanding that these things are they're just surveillance devices.
But if you invest in the people you put in here, it's immensely rewarding. And I've just given you one. I mean, being able to walk with confidence, knowing that, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with my type of personality, even though it doesn't really fit with a lot of the people I see. So what? And of course you can arrive at these conclusions without that. But I'm simply speaking on one aspect that I love. And there are more. There are so many more. And of course there is the negative. I worry. Uh, my oldest drove up north during very bad weather because he's in the medical industry, and he had to go to a hospital to apply his craft, and he had to go during that time. And it's stuff like that. I mean, you worry, and as
So this guy's just describing being a normal person, being concerned when your kids have to do something like dangerous or what you perceive to be dangerous. You worry about them. Of course you do. You would worry about anybody. That extends beyond your children. Anybody you care about that has to do something like that, you'd be like, oh shit. Lumazuma says science versus religion. I would agree to a certain extent, but I think that I think that science has become a little bit of a religion for people, and not like the actual science, not like the practical realities of the scientific process. I mean, the way people perceive it. And they are just as dogmatic sometimes as religious people. I think we've seen that especially in the past 5 or 6 years in the Western world, at least in the United States. Seems like everybody's looking for guideposts, everybody's looking for a type of like quasi religious experience, and they go trying to fill that void with anything. And if you reject like religion, like, I don't know, I'm a secular person, so I'm not speaking as somebody that is like particularly religious. I was raised like traditional Catholic, but I'm a secular person myself. I have never thought, though, I don't need other gods. I don't need other things to fill my life. I don't need to fill that God shaped hole in my heart. Like, it's just not ever something I've ever really worried about or thought about in any serious way. Like, I've never felt a deficit because of not engaging with that stuff. And I think it's just important to always be objective and always kind of try to be a critical thinker, I suppose would be the best way to put it. And science, just as much as religion, should require the same process. Like, science or religion is like philosophy. You can read religion and get a lot of good things out of it. There's a lot of good things said, a lot of good observations. You can treat it like philosophy. Science requires a little bit harder of a craft, right? It's a more specific, tangible, material thing. But for some people, they don't look at it like that. They're not even curious about how things work. They just want somebody to tell them what to think and why things happen without any curiosity or investigation on their own. I've never understood that.
as a parent, if you're trying to be a decent parent, you're always reviewing your relationship. You're reviewing how you're interacting, how you're, you know, like for me, I'm always trying to make sure that the connection is clean, that that I'm coming to the table, always with new observations, or not necessarily new, but I take nothing for granted. I take absolutely nothing for granted, you know. But yeah, there's a lot of stress and worry, and things will affect your children that, of course, you have no control over, and tragedy will strike, and if it strikes one of my children, yeah, I will be devastated. Uh, and so I'm always just wishing for the smoothest ride for them. But ultimately the ride will hit the rocks and all is lost. But in between the beginning and the end, I am doing my best so they can soak up every joyful thing that this world has to offer, and it does have joy to offer. I mean, I'm not in it.
Luma Zuma says that new telescope is a new philosophy. No, it's not. That it would be the tangible, material, scientific process, like the actual observable thing. But how many people just assume that the telescope does what people says it does without ever caring any deeper than that? That's just a good way for people to be taken advantage of. That doesn't mean that that telescope isn't exactly what they say it is, but you should have some sort of curiosity. I don't understand like there are so many other interests involved in both religion and science right now in terms of like how it shapes and molds societies. Like you should be fucking curious. You can look into the internet is such a beautiful thing, and you have access to every single piece of information you could ever imagine, or at least most of it. And you should use it for that. Be curious, learn about things. Don't just take things for granted. Don't just believe whatever somebody fucking tells you. I say that for religion. I say that for people that are into science, quote unquote.
Antinatalist because I'm pissed off at reality or think that there is no joy in this world. There are joyful moments, you know. There is a reward for being addicted to truthful observations, you know, to you know, because then you can really understand how to tease out you know, real pleasure, you know, real pleasurable experiences. And it's simple shit. I mean, I'm not talking about big stuff.
Luma Zuma says religion is nonsense. I think if you take it literally, you could maybe say it's nonsense, but I think it's just as valuable as anything else. Anything that helps people get through the day, anything that makes people like kind of orientates people in the correct direction. If that's what it takes, if you got to be into religion to achieve that, hey, who am I to say? Who am I to say? And I would say the same thing for people that just go all in the other direction. Like, do you even know how any of the shit works that you purport to believe in? Do you just believe people when they tell you things? I would say have the same type of skepticism, especially in a world that conspires to steal from you. And I don't know, the medical industry that's full of science. Where are we at with that? Where are we at with that? Like how we treat mental illness. Like we've brought that up before. How we treat mental illness. Are we looking for solutions? Or are we looking for a way to push drugs on people? These are not, I don't know the answer to that, but it's a worthy question. And people should be more curious about that kind of shit.
But those things are important, and it's also important to have the ability to recognize that things are good. You know, some people just simply have just have no ability to, you know, because of fearing for the next awful thing, and the awful thing will always come no matter your mood. So how about you pick a better mood, because the good, or if you're able, I'm not, you know, it's not so easy, but it is better. It is good to acknowledge the good and enjoy the good, and that will keep you when the bad comes, the good, you know. And then the obvious stuff, you know, it's so rewarding to be a parent because of the love. The love is huge. And the love sustains us all. You know, their love for me sustains me. My love for them, I mean, you know, I can't, I mean, I would imagine it helps them. And also, I'm trying to live, you know, I'm going to eventually do the Obi-Wan Kenobi where I'm going to be gone. But I hope I loom so large in their lives that my the way I am will continue to encourage and inspire them until their last days, to the point where parenting almost feels like a pyramid scheme. Like if they were to have kids, and I don't think that they will, but if they were, I would have mixed feelings, but I would almost be a little well, I would be happy on some level, but I would want them to have what I have, but for them, you know, for these kids who I don't know yet, who I will not have as big of an attachment, but I would want them to have, you know, people who love them deeply for the rest of their days. I would want that, you know, outside of like a spouse or something, you know, because it's a different thing between a parent and a kid. And I'm only saying all of this because I've heard you puzzle over what you get out of being a parent. I get out so much, but I can't speak for other parents. You know, some people puzzle. You know, I don't understand how. You know, some people. I don't understand the moves some people make. You know, but for myself, it is immensely rewarding. So.
Well, there you go. Well, that is a parent antinatalist. He just kind of seems like a responsible parent, to be honest. Doesn't really seem like much of that is couched in antinatalism per se, outside of the fact that he observes that not everybody takes parenting as seriously as he does. Loomis says, "You believe in things." Sure, I believe in things. I believe in things I understand. I'm always open to learning new things too and understanding more. Loomis says, "Where are your kids 20 years from now?" I don't know. Can anybody say that? Do you need that kind of type of certainty to ever do anything? You would never do anything if you needed that kind of certainty. That would just be, it's kind of untenable. I don't know where my kids are going to be in 20 years. I hope they're doing good, future kids. I hope you're doing okay. I hope I'm still here with you enjoying life. All right, so we're gonna do one more little short video to end the stream and the night. I gotta be up early. Loomis says, "Sean, good luck." Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. We're gonna end the night with a song. This is by One Fang. It's called "Disabilities," and then I'm gonna bid you guys adieu. Let's see what the song is, though. This could be a lot of fun.
A disability isn't always so apparent. People give a shit and tell us that we're faking it. Oh, it's all in your head? Well, that's the fucking point. You think we want to pretend to have these limitations? We shouldn't have to defend our state of mind. So keep your fucking opinions inside. Say it one more time. Spout another tired
It's just like somebody reading a Tumblr blog to a generic beat. Loomis says, "I hope they good. I hope they're good too. I hope they're good too."
Say it one more time. Think you can break us down and make us cry? Bitch, we deal with pain you'll never know in a lifetime. You don't see a wheelchair, so you give us a dirty stare. You don't see a set of crutches, so you could give a fuck less.
Do people like give? Is that like a normal thing? Is that something people do? Like look at people in wheelchairs and on crutches and be like, fuck you. Fuck you. You're in the way. I don't know. I don't know about that.
You can't see the struggle, thinking what you know is best, so you could give a fuck less, so you could give a fuck less. Autism, anxiety, depression, OCD, schizophrenia. Why don't you see what it's like to have bipolar mania? Oh, but you can't. You're lucky, but you can't seem to understand that. We find
Honestly, like I see things like this, I just feel bad for this person. I feel bad for this person because it seems like they've just kind of been hung out to dry, you know? It's like I wish this person had a dad like the dad in the video we just watched. You know what I mean?
every day we can't do all the things that you can, but we're not about to bury our heads in the sand. You don't know what it's really like, so keep telling us how we're doing fine. You don't know what it's really like. Think you can break us down and make us cry? Bitch, we deal with demons you'll never see in a lifetime.
Oh damn. Jesus Christ. Face tattoos are trash, says Lumazuma.
You don't see a wheelchair.
Don't be an ableist, Luma.
So you give us a dirty stare. You don't see a set of crutches, so you could give a fuck less. You can't see the struggles, thinking that you know best, so you could give a fuck less. So you could give a fuck less. You don't see a wheelchair, so you give us a dirty stare. You don't see a set of crutches, so you could give a fuck less. You can't see the struggles, thinking that you know best, so you could give a fuck less. So you could give a fuck less.
Wow. Wow. Death Chris says this is rough. Lumazuma says, okay, Home Depot. What? Is it just a black screen? Moment of silence for One Fang. Disabilities. Beat courtesy of Fred's Beat Bitch. I think. Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. You think you can't do it. You think you can't make it. You think you can't be an artist. Well, that guy, he's out there. He's doing what he wants to do. He's putting it out there. One Fang? Sure. How many views does One Fang have? I think this is a pretty low view video. That's 211 views. Solid Zoobox numbers, as I like to say. But yeah. He's got other songs. One Fang, Think Too Much. Official audio. No music videos, though. That was the only music. Well, let's listen to one more song. Why not? Let's see what One Fang's doing. Death Curse says, that song gave me disabilities. Luma says, cement department. Good night, Zoobox. Good night, Luma. All right. Let me see what this one more. Let's just see what happens.
Is this life that I'm living my own? Am I just tripping? Am I alone? Dissociation settles in like winter. The snowflakes on my tongue taste bitter. So I spit.
It's like everybody's going for that Daniel Johnston crown, you know? Like, oh, it's a simple song, but I mean it. I mean it. You know, maybe I'm not the best singer. Maybe I'm not the best guitar player, but I mean it.
Blood on the sidewalk, hoping we can sit down just to talk. And I'll open up my chest for you. Place my heart in your hands if I can have yours too. And maybe I have gone slightly insane, or more than I would ever care to say. Tell me, would it trouble you at all if you might catch me when I fall? So easy to get lost in this fog. I haven't seen a friend's face in so long. Yeah,
Whoa, now we got acoustic guitar? Jesus Christ. Death Curse says, like being kicked in the head by a horse if it were music. Lewis says, get eternal.
Think too much. I think too much. It hurts to.
I just wish this person had somebody in their life that was just like, yo, dude, maybe not. Maybe don't do that. Maybe don't put this out there. I understand you like to do it. Makes you feel better. I get you.
Feel this much. It hurts to feel this much. I think too much. I know I think too much. It hurts.
Death Curse says, songs that make you sterile.
To feel this much. It hurts to feel this much.
It's like an emo teenager nightmare, dude.
Is this life that I'm living my own? I'm scared.
Jared Moby says, I knew too many of these guys in the Richmond music scene. Luma asks, do you have a Discord? No, I don't have. Well, no, we don't have a Discord. We don't. I know there is a Zoobox Discord, but it's like completely inactive. Death Chris says, thinking too much ain't the issue here.
To reach out and answer my phone. I don't want to come across the wrong way when I barely left my bed all damn day. It's like a spiral with no ending. What kind of message am I sending?
I think Diane wrote the lyrics for this song.
I just wanna open up for you and give the kind of love You deserve to. I know you've seen a lifetime of pain, a bad hand dealt to you from your birthday. I'm trying the best that I can. This world is cruel and hard to understand.
Like something like this is enough to make you like very self-conscious. Be like, well, I see the things that I create. And I'm like, well, they're not that bad. It's not perfect, but it's not that bad. Because you got to imagine One Fang listened to this back and was like, yeah, it's fine. It's not perfect. It's not studio quality, but it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Deathgriff says this is worse than huffing paint.
I think too much. I know I think too much. It hurts to feel this much. It hurts to feel this much. Do you think?
Deathgriff says, I hope my shit sucks this hard. Well, I can tell you that it doesn't. I can tell you, as a consumer of your products and your art, it does not. Loomis says, make Sean stay up. Oh, no. This is it for me. This song. Got like 30 more seconds. I got to get up early, dude. I got to get up early.
Think too much. I tell you're thinking too much. It hurts to feel this much. It hurts to feel this much. It hurts.
It hurts, y'all.
It hurts.
Think too much, y'all. Think too much, y'all. I think too much, y'all. I'm gonna ask him if I can officially use that as a Zubok theme song. I think too much. All right, everybody. Well, unceremoniously, gonna have to bounce. Thank you for hanging out, Death Curse, Jeremobi, Luma, Prophet, Hagbird, everybody else that was in the chat, Big Paul, Valiant One. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. It's been fun. We'll be back soon. Hopefully we'll be back soon. Deathcurse says you can really feel the pain thinking causes him. Yes, it does. All right, everybody. Have a good night, guys. Adios.